I can see your worth and value. I'm flying out tomorrow to go to Colorado to Gaia to film Beyond Belief with George Nuri. And so I'm going to start answering some of the questions that I'm going to answer there, but I'll give them to you now because I'm going to tell him that I can see everyone's worth and value. And that was really challenging and difficult to say, but I know that it's true. And then he's going to ask, well, does everyone have that worth and value when they come into the world? And I'm going to say yes. Because, well, why don't they know that? Because they've been programmed to do something else. They came in with a different life path. They haven't figured it out yet. That's the only reason. Then how do I know that? I can't tell you that, except I've experienced and I know it's true. And then I was asking myself, well, how did I come to this place of this understanding? And was it the way that I was born and it just starts to come about? I just published something today that I received that said, your worth is more apparent, your value is more apparent now today. Because see, as we move through the world, as we move through our lives, there is information, consciousness that we can access that gets us, that allows us to see more of who we are, to understand our worth and value. But then why did I have this? And I was questioning that last night because was it the way I was born or was it because of what I've done? Or do they both work together? I think they both work together. I think we have these innate skills and abilities that only get developed as we live our lives and in different ways. So when I started coaching more than 36 years ago, I've coached thousands of people. I had to look at that. I had to look at that. And so the question is going to be, did you ever find anyone who did not have that worth and value? And I have to say, no, because I can see it. I could always see it in them. And then, well, why don't they? Because they haven't taken the time to don't discover who they are. And that becomes challenging for a lot of people, depending on their different paths, their different life paths. And I had to go back and look and question, well, where did this start for me? See, in 1985, because see, this has nothing to do with how successful you are, what you've achieved in your life, because we evolve and succeed and in our consciousness, and consciousness is unlimited. It's not done. Nobody knows there are no limits to it. And that's what we keep discovering. We're discovering with technology. We're discovering with all kinds of medical things that we've done. We keep discovering it. So you can't know who you are at this moment because it's unlimited. It's just before you. And so I was coaching a billionaire in 2019. This was 1985. That's when I was doing this. I'm coaching and I'm like, why am I doing this? And because it didn't matter how much money he had, there was something inside of him that he knew he could possibly achieve, but there was a barrier there. There was something that was blocking his awareness from taking that step. And I've seen that so many times. And then I've seen also sometimes where people will not take the step, they'll just stop where they are and not go forward. Because again, we have to always deal with this unknown. It's the unknown that's within us, the unknown that we're witnessing or experiencing in our world. And so then I started to do something else several years ago. And I mentioned this before. I said, I'm a reluctant mystic because I started to know that I was understanding things on this level that I couldn't really explain to people. So a crazy thing happened. Well, this was several years ago. Someone asked me if I wanted to do something, and I said, sure, let's see what happens. And we created this thing called Ask Me Any Question. And then people would come and we would have a little talk and they would ask me a question and I would give them the information, whatever I felt intuitively about that question. They would send it to me first. I'd look at it, I'd meet with them and I'd tell them. And it was astonishing to see that later on, they said, yeah, you were right. That came through. We all have intuition. It's within us. Now, we don't always trust it. We don't always understand it, but we all have it. And once we develop it, we start to find more clarity in our lives. We start to understand our life path and we're able to live it a lot more. And so then he's going to ask me, well, why did this all come about now? And I'm going to say, well, I didn't know this was happening, but the world changed. And somehow I was given information that could help people move through this period of mass ascension, because that's really what's happening. Because I knew that we were going to experience a lot of difficulties and we're going to have anger and we were going to have hatred and we're going to have division and all of that. Because when you go through your ascension process, all the old stuff that's within you has to come up. And then you decide if you're going to move over it and access that authentic self, your connection to source, to God, to all that is, whatever that might be for you. When you do that, then you put a different energy and awareness into the world, and then things start to change. And then he's going to ask me, well, how do you know that that works? Because I've seen it, I've experienced it. Because they're going to ask me about mind body healing too. That's the next part of it. And I go, yes, I've done all of that. Because the other thing that you discover is that once you start to become aligned with who you are, you have this clarity, and then your body can start to heal. Everyone won't do all of that, but I've done it all. So I know that it's possible. I put something out the other day about what everything is possible because I know that is true. And then he's going to say, well, why don't people do it? Because they're afraid. And I can say that one as well because I was afraid. This is why I wrote the book, Overcoming Fear, A Guide to Freedom, because I moved through it. And to be at 73 now, I said, well, wait a minute, this all come together because of my age? Possibly, because I've experienced everything. I've run so many businesses and different careers. I've done music, I've done all sorts, I've done everything. So that probably is part of it. But maybe it was just innately who I was meant to become, because I know every person is meant to become something. And then the more of us who do that, then we start to live these great lives, and then we pass that on to generations that come later, and then we start to see a different world. But we first have to move through all the other stuff. And this is what I'm going to tell George. We're going to move through more difficulties if people don't become who they are, which is why I'm being pushed to talk about this more, because I know that energy of someone loving themselves and becoming happy and successful would make a big difference. And then he's going to ask me, well, is that possible for every single person? And I'm going to say yes, because I've seen that too. And I'm going to say, yeah, I have clients who have used this work, who've done this and have done far better than me in so many different ways. Because, see, it was challenging for me to accept this. So now that I have this other platform where I could put it out there, it's going to be much easier. The other thing that has been challenging for me, when people come to me and they have a difficulty or challenge or a problem, I have to answer it. That's what I thought. I can't do that. But I have created something that the questions will be answered for the people who do it. And that's what I've proven. So that's why I know that it works. It just depends on if you're willing to understand and accept who you are, and go on this path, this self-discovery, because everyone has it and it's going to be different for each person. But you may be a little pressed to find that because of all the energies that are moving in our universe and the world right now, all the different things that are occurring. But if you go inside and find yourself, you find that you have this peace. And that's what I have. And it's going to be a really interesting, wonderful interview, because I can sit there now and say, yes, I've developed something that any person could live this really great life and love themselves and prosper and do all of that. And all they have to do is want to accomplish that. And I can say that because I know that it's true. And that's why I can see your worth and value. You just have to decide that you want to see it and then start to develop it. That's the process for anyone. That's any kind of self-development, personal development, self-actualization, ascension. That's what every single human will move through. You just decide how you're going to do it and if you're going to do it. That's all. See you soon.